What's going on? This is City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. Today, we're doing this chapter with Helmer Noel. Helmer Noel is a singer-songwriter living in Spokane. He is here to talk about his latest single release titled M.I.A. We will also be discussing his upcoming projects and future partnerships. I first met Helmer when I seen him perform at the Spokane Arts Awards show. I was highly impressed by his performance, and so it's an honor to have him on the City Chapters Podcast. Also, be sure to check out his EP titled City of Arrows, released in 2023. My favorite records from that project were titled Start Again and Departure. What's going on, Helmer?
What's up? Thanks for the intro there.
Yeah, man. It's, like I said, it's an honor to have you on. When I seen you perform at that award show, man, I was like, damn, who is this guy? He got a... Vocals are crazy.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was pretty fun. That was at Spokane Arts. It was always a pleasure to work with them. But yeah, that was, I think, just a really nice performance in general, because that energy was it was there. You could feel it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feed off of the energy and stuff. So it was a good place to meet.
Yeah, I came to see my homie James Pacotis perform. Shout out James.
JG.
Yeah, and yeah, it was cool. Everybody that performed that night was just awesome to watch. So
I was like, oh man, I have to close this night. I was all like, kind of, getting ready for it, but felt good.
Yeah. You're not originally from Spokane, right?
No, originally from Texas.
Another Texan, all right.
Yeah. Originally from Texas, born and raised, and then moved from Austin, which was the last place that I lived, to the Rhode Island area, because that's where I met my partner. In Austin, and we did the long distance for a little while, and suddenly work was just like, hey, we might need you up in this area, and it was like in the Boston, Massachusetts, New Hampshire area, and I was just like, well, yeah, of course I'll do it, because I mean, I already want to move up there, make the long distance no longer the long distance, and all that worked out, and 7 years later we decided to kind of hit the road. Did 10 months cross country, and ended up stumbling on Spokane totally by accident. And
that's right. I
have
remember
not looked back yet.
That. So you just like hit the road, city to city kind of type thing, and just were like hanging out in different cities for short periods of time, or? Yeah,
I think the longest was maybe Colorado and Texas. My family's there, so we had a pretty good reason to stay. My niece was being born around that time, and it was just really nice. But yeah, we do city to city, state to state, and then eventually, I think we were wrapping up. Washington was our last state. We hadn't been there yet. So when we ended up here in Spokane, my partner had to fly in, and we were looking for some sort of cheap flight. None of them were cheap, and randomly on the last second, he was just like, "Wait, there's this one here in Spokane. Like, where's that?" I was like, "I have no idea." And he flew into Spokane, and the rest is kind of history. Within, I don't know, like 3-4 days, we were looking for a place.
You guys were just already on the road trying to figure out where you wanted to move, or how did it come about that you guys decided to choose Spokane to live here, I guess?
So I don't think we were actually looking for a place to live. Like we were just going to continue the journey as is, with no point B. And as soon as we got here, though, like there was just this major sense of community that we'd never felt before.
Really?
And, oh yeah, within, like I said, within about 3 days, we were like, all right, let's start looking for a place.
What sense of community did you find and feel that really inspired or touched you? Like, what was that?
Riverside. I'll always say it. Riverside has so much stuff to do. And I think it was within that first couple of days that we were here, we're like, well, let's go walk around, let's go explore. And there was some sort of event, some sort of...
You mean Riverfront? Like the
Riverfront.
Mall area? Okay.
The park.
Yeah.
Riverfront Park.
Riverfront Park.
And I think it was August. Yeah, August, end of August, maybe early September. And I mean, it was just like still summer. It was nice and warm.
What year was this?
21.
21?
Yeah.
So a little coming out of COVID a bit.
Yeah. There was a vibrancy, and we just were very... I don't know, we latch on to stuff like that, anything that feels like it's just a good vibe. The people are genuine.
Riverfront is amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, especially in the summer.
They've done so much with that park. If you had grown up here, like seen the transformation of that park, it's really actually quite unbelievable. Like when I grew up, it wasn't really like that safe.
Oh.
You know, it was cool. Like they had like the IMAX out there. They had some different things. They had during the day it'd be safe. Like they had this like tiny little amusement park underneath the pavilion, and they would do ice skating under there in the winter. So they had like cool things going on, but like the aesthetic was like very just kind of diminished and like old feeling, very old feeling. Now it's like pristine. Like the landscaping, the lighting, the things they even added to the pavilion, those like LED lights, like that made such a huge difference of the ambiance of that park. Like it's huge. It used to just be this white like cage thing. We used to call it the bird cage. Like it just wasn't sexy. You know what I mean? Now it's sexy.
Yeah.
They made it sexy. It's
and it just
cool.
keeps on going too.
Yeah.
Like they added what is it called? That pavilion, or not pavilion, but like the field, the new field out there.
They added all those sports complexes.
There we go.
They have the soccer complex. They have the podium, which is the huge complex right outside the park, which they have been bringing in all sorts of tournaments for.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
revenue
pretty,
for the city.
Yeah, and we need it.
Good.
It's cool to bring in, you know, like we just had NCAA teams in town for basketball. Like that's huge. So it's really cool. I'm just very curious because, you know, I grew up too in a time where like a lot of people didn't like Spokane. You know, like the consensus mostly growing up as a kid was like, you know, a lot of people didn't like it here. You know, that's why that brand started, Spokane Doesn't Suck, because everybody was saying it sucks here, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting from my perspective to see like why somebody chooses Spokane to move here and what we have that we think other places have so much more of that we actually are like really thriving in. And that community aspect of you coming from Austin, because from what I don't never been to Austin, but from what I hear, it seems like an awesome, big, vibrant community.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty epic.
You choose Spokane. It's curious to me, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, we had already traveled all over the place, and you know, I was like, well, this is the 50th state. Let's see 51st, because we went to Puerto Rico. But like, you know, what is it called? Getting to Washington, just it was different. Like it was different in general. And once we kind of traveled around Washington before getting to Spokane, so once we actually did get to Spokane, that's when it just like kind of all lined up. It just felt right. We, you know, coming down 90 and just kind of seeing Spokane with Mount Spokane in the background and all that stuff. Like it reminded me of the first time I actually moved to Austin, fresh out of the house. Like, you know, my parents were like, it's time, you got to go. I think I was like 24, 23, somewhere around there. And, you know, that same little vibe where you're driving into town, got the music just right, and everything is just shining right. Yeah, it's just different. It just hits different. And that's cool. Yeah, and I'm glad because I mean, we started our business. Music has been just, I don't know, the past 2 years have just been very insane, to say the least, and in the best way possible. So no looking back.
That's cool, man. Thank you for sharing that. I have the same memory of coming down Sunset when I was a kid, and we just moved here. I was like 6, 7 years old, and just like thinking like, oh, this is the coolest city, like. I don't know why in my head I thought it was like New York or something, you know? Like,
I love it.
Because I'm a little kid. I'm like, it's new city. I'm from Denver, which is a massive city, but like huge. I just don't have any memories of driving into a city like that. But that Sunset drive down, it's cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
And now with the pavilion lit up, it's even cooler. You can see like, I love that.
It got us right on the hook.
That's awesome, man. So, and it was just that feeling like we need to be here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
What also helped was the music community, because like it was almost meant to be, because you know I just ran into the right people at the right time. Like my OG musician Logan. Yeah, Logan's amazing. Yeah, he's cracked, as Rose says.
He's what?
Cracked. But yeah, he just we were working on what is it called? The new projects together, M.I.A, which just released. He, worked his magic with it, because I always have my version or my idea of a song, and we'll kind of like come together and start talking about it. And it usually ends up, turning into something totally different in a sense. Like, there's just a nice shine or like a nice polish on it. And he has so much to do with that.
Yeah. How did you meet Logan?
So we were looking for a place, and he was working at Kendall Yards as like a leasing agent.
Oh, okay.
And we just happened to drop by at Kendall Yards, and that's where he's, showing us the apartment.
Yeah.
And he's like, "So what do you do?" And I'm like, "I sing," and blah blah blah. And he was a little hesitant, but I think eventually he started mentioning that he produced music and he made music and all this stuff. And then it wasn't maybe a few days, maybe a week later. Maybe a little longer. I can't remember now, but either way, he was like, "You know what? Let's meet. Let's see what we can put together and what we can make." And I think the first day that we actually hung out, Slow Ride came out. We just like sat down and made it from beginning to end. At least sonically what the song was going to sound like. Lyrically, it took me a little while to write it, but that's what came out of the first meeting. And I was just like, well, if this is what we're making from the get-go, like I can't wait to, make more stuff, because the rest is kind of history now at this point.
That's really cool, man. Yeah, Logan's awesome. I've had the pleasure of getting to know him a little bit over the last like probably year or so, maybe a little longer than that. But every time I see him, man, he's just great vibes. And every time I see him perform, I'm just amazed, So yeah. So how did you get started in music? Was this from the time you were young?
Yeah, music's kind of always been around me. My biggest influence is my mom. From a baby, she was singing to me, and I think I started singing like when I was 3 years old.
Really?
So yeah, it's always been within the house, within the church. Like my parents are pastors back home in Texas.
Okay.
And that's been probably one of the bigger influences is like the choir, or, the church choir, if you will. But biggest influence is my mom. She's got a voice of an angel.
Wow, that's cool. So she definitely encouraged you to sing and...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's awesome, man. All right. Well, we got a little backstory on you. So you just released a new single, M.I.A.
Yep.
Let's see. We'll go with these questions. All right. Why did you release M.I.A. as a standalone single?
So M.I.A. is... now like a dedication song. It's a memorial song, if you will. Lost my dog Emma. She was about 10 and a half years old, and traveled all over the place with us, saw everything we did. And she just had like bone and lung cancer, and she's basically my little shadow since she was like 2 months old. So it was kind of like a weird, I didn't realize it was going to hit me that hard. So I realized that, pain is kind of transferable and universal. So like the song may be about, my dog, but the words are not meant to be just about a dog. Right. They're, kind of written out to be accessible for everyone, because there's a lot of times where I'm in grief or like I'm in pain and I can't articulate the words, but a song will come on and I'm just like, oh, that's what I was trying to...
It helps.
That's what it is, or like that. And that's what that song's meant to be. I did it standalone because it was her anniversary, and just, I was like, it felt right. And just for anybody that's lost someone that, they'll never get back, but we'll never forget either.
Right. So I dug into this last night and I listened to this song several times, and it really hits home with me because about 2 years ago I lost my first dog, Keikoa. Rest in peace, dog. Hey. That's my homie, man. That dude was like a brother to me, you know what I mean? Like, I did not look at him as like a dog. That's my homie, my being, my brother. Like, and I had him too from the time he was like a few months old.
Yeah.
You know, first day I got him, he bit my homie and made him bleed. I was like, that's my homie. That's you know what I mean? Me and him were riding until he passed away. He was like 14 and a half.
Oh, wow.
So he had a good long
That's
span
good
of
life.
time. And, but yeah, he was getting old. And then, you know, dealing with cancer and stuff too. And, man, that, you know, I've lost some friends. But that was the hardest. I'm still dealing with it. I'm still in grief about it. It's been I think it's been almost coming up on 2 years.
Yeah, I'm
You know, and
a year into it.
I haven't got another dog yet because I'm like, I want to really bad, and I probably should, but I think it is coming up to that time where I'll get one soon. But man, it really
all in its time.
It really messed me up, man. It still does. And like listening to this last night, I think that I have ways of like not thinking about him, you know, or like thinking about his energy when he was around. But
that's huge, actually.
You know, like I won't look at his photos. I won't like anything because like one time it had been like probably about a year. I took mushrooms and I started looking at his photos. I just started bawling. I was crying so hard. I was like, I miss you, bro. But it was also like a part of me that needed to heal, of like truly like letting go of him more. So I totally relate, man. You know, if you a dog lover, then you understand like what it is to lose a dog. You know, it's there's just something that's just so special about them, you know, and like
it's a different connection. Like again, and I think only like dog owners really will. Well, cat owners too. I know one of my Logan, he has a cat, and he's mentioned it a couple of times. He's like, she's just so precious.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know. That bond is beautiful. But I think we understand how that, you know, once that bond is gone, it's just like, oh, were you even here? Like you start to deal with memories that feel like they're starting to, you know, like fade away.
Kind of like they're almost empty in a way, or
because I mean, you're so used to having them there. And then again, this applies to people too. Like, I mean, we've lost people in our family, and it's just, you know, it's like, oh, okay, you're gone.
Yeah, it's
like,
a trip.
Now I got to deal with that.
So yeah, it's a trip that you can be here and then you're not.
Yeah.
You know, and then same thing, like, just in general, it's really hard to put words on it, you know, and I think your music and those types of songs that you made there and like those other ones, it's like the only way maybe we can get some kind of relief or like relatability to what we're feeling is through that, like through those lyrics or through that, just even that sound that you're making, that, you know what I mean? That vibration of what it feels like to be dealing with these kinds of things.
Yeah. And there's an intentionality with music that you have to take. I think when you're doing it responsibly, you know, making music is touching these like inner chords, if you will, like inside of a person's like soul. And if they vibrate just the right way, you know, like that's a connection, or that's, you know, like something that you'll never forget. And I mean, there's quite a few songs, or like, you know, there's a lot of musicians that are really good at that. And that's what I try to aim to be, you know?
Yeah. So you and Logan, you guys must like really dig into finding those chords, finding that sound.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's pretty brilliant at that. Like I just like do riffs, and I'm like over here like, well, if I maybe make it sound like this or make it sound like that, and he's like, I don't think that's gonna work. I'm like, okay, cool. And then he just comes up with something, and I'm like, oh my god, this works so much better. And then the or like that, just that connective tissue starts to build, and you know, once we start feeling a song, that's when we kind of know we're both vibing with it, and we'll be like, yeah, this is gonna hit somebody. And that's always the intent, you know, to make sure that it hits home for somebody.
Yeah, I mean the cadences that you guys build throughout the song are like, they're just really I don't even know. I mean, they're profound. Like it really like brings you in.
Thanks, man.
I don't know, there's something special for sure about your music, and that's why I think when I first heard you, I was impressed. You know, it's like, this is some real singer, songwriter, stuff going
Thanks,
on
man.
here. You know what I mean? I'm
Appreciate
not a
that.
musician, but like when I hear it and just know, you know, that you got something special. Your messaging is real, sincere. You know, it has depth to it.
Yeah, appreciate that. I try to make sure that, you know, anything that, and I think Logan probably would say the same thing, is, you know, the music that we make has to have like an impact, or it should be impactful, even if it's like the most simplest of songs. Like, you know, to somebody it's going to mean something and it could change their life. And, you know, even if it doesn't, like if I just, you know, happen to put out something that's, you know, like bouncy and fun, like that's all that was meant to be, you know?
Yeah, but it allows people to have fun during that time, you
Yeah.
know? So, like, still the messaging is good. It's about good energy or whatnot.
Oh, for
you
sure.
know? So,
So yeah.
yeah. When did this song release? M.I.A.
This one was on March 24th.
24.
Yeah, man, that was like a full year from Emma's passing. She, you know, went at our apartment, so she was nice and comfortable. And yeah, I don't know what came over me. I think I'm writing a lot more lately, and I started doing the song, and I, you know, was like, this is interesting. Like it kind of feels like a deeper connection with, you know, Emma. And then we were kind of realizing that her anniversary was coming up, and it just kind of all fell together. I was like, you know what, I should probably release this for, you know, like a memorial song. And of course, Logan, being the badass that he is, he was like, let's do it. I was like, with it, I don't know, maybe 5 days from beginning to end, it was all done. And I was just like, this is crazy, but let's do it. And it all ended up working out. So yeah.
Cool, man. Well, rest in peace, Emma.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Koa. Miss you guys. So you worked with the song on with Logan, and says you want to introduce the concept of time and how it's missing and sending you on a journey.
Oh yeah. So through all of this, you know, with Emma kind of passing and the loss of life at the forefront of pretty much everything I do now, I started thinking, I'm like, the only way I can actually get through this is really digging into what passing, or, you know, like what loss means to me, and the idea of time and how it's just happening regardless. Like if we weren't here to observe it, I don't even know if like time would exist. Like I get into all these like weird ideas, but for the most part, how it, you know, really transfers to everybody is that it's always passing. It's not going to stop for anybody. And I just like to dive into the feelings of that, where usually there's a hopelessness that comes with, you know, the passage of time in some sense, you know, like
Yeah,
we're alive,
definitely.
which is good. we're out here living life, but
We're trying.
yeah, exactly.
We're trying.
Oh man. And you know, the more I think about the passage of time, the more I don't like it. I'm just like, I don't want to get old, but it's a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
We're
I
all
just
blessed.
turned 35 on March 29th, and
Happy belated.
yeah, it's a trip, man. It's a trip. Like, I'm 5 years from 40. Like,
God, I'm 40.
you know, like
I'm 36, so I'm 4 years away.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm not scared of being 40,
Yeah.
but it's just like, it happened. It's coming up so quickly that I'm going to be 40, you know, and in the process of like me pursuing how to make my own way in this world, I've failed miserably at it, really. You know, maybe from other people's perspectives, it's not that harsh. But from my perspective, my internal perspective, the things that I've struggled with in becoming the type of person I want to be to achieve what I want to achieve, I've really messed it up. You know, and time goes, or I don't know how to say it. I'm not trying to be negative about it, but I've made a lot of choices that weren't in cohesion with who I want to be, you know?
Okay.
And so that's like before you walked in, me and Brendan talking about self-sabotage, like these things that we do to keep us from really achieving what we say we want to achieve. And that's why I think only a few ultimately make it, because only a few really have the wherewithal to actually do that, because it's incredibly difficult to have that type of discipline in your life.
Yeah.
And then dealing with traumas and different things that come along with life, and then still showing up every day, still showing up for your dream, and not having doubt and not having fear, or learning how to work with fear. And, I think I've been able to obtain a lot of personal growth through my life, but professional growth, I feel like sometimes I'm not nowhere near where I want to be. And 5 years from now, I'm going to be 40. Am I going to be in that same position when I turn 40? I don't want to be. So I try to use that as like, okay, I got 5 years. That's not that much time the way things are going.
Yeah.
So that passage of time is something I think about, like, okay, what can I do in this 5 years to put myself in a position that is going to be more substantial for me professionally than where I am right now. Yeah. Because like you said, that passage of time, it's happening. It's going to happen.
It's gonna happen
5 years is going to happen real quick. What are you going to do in that 5 years?
Yeah.
What choices am I going to make in this 5 years that are going to be different from this last 5 years? Now, granted, we all just had to go through COVID, which I think was a time warp. If we're going to talk about passage of time, COVID fucked us all up on years. It really did. Like, yeah.
It feels like we came out of a different wormhole or something.
Seriously, something's up.
Yeah, this is a different world. But you kind of touch on something that I always think about, the idea of, kind of like the fear of failure and the self-sabotage and stuff. There's, I think, like a little art to using the negative to kind of aid you, or as a tool. Yeah. Because, with the passage of time, there's still stuff that's already happened, like the before times, if you will. Like all that stuff, use it as, some sort of stepping stone to what you're trying to get to, because you're laying a foundation regardless of if you think it's a good foundation or not. Yeah. Because the way I see it, if I were to drop myself right in front of like 17, 15-year-old me, like I would still be worlds ahead of what they thought was possible. And if that's still happening for me, then I think, kind of following your gut, letting the flow take you where it needs to go, but also kind of strategically placing your footsteps so that, the next big turn that's going to happen, you're kind of ready for.
Definitely. Yeah, ultimately the only thing that's going to be beneficial about the mistakes you made in the past is looking at them as they were a lesson, not a failure. Yeah. And that's something I've had to really work through, and rebuilding my confidence, and also knowing like all that failure for when I do make it makes it even more real, more authentic. Like I was a real person, really struggling. This shit did not come easy to me. I had to like break myself down every single way to get it right. Yeah. And I think for me and like this podcast and my messaging and who I want to be as a voice is like, that's real. Most people have to really struggle to get what they want. It doesn't come easy, and we live in this world where it's all being projected as like, oh yeah, you can make money so fast here or do these things here. Yeah. But I think it's a lot more complicated than we really give people like what we really grant people. It is very complicated, because the mind for a lot of people, I think, is very complicated in this day and age that we live in, with all the distractions that we have to deal with in a day-to-day basis. It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot to navigate, and it's a lot to be able to remain focused and not be distracted by all these different things that are pulling you this way, that way, this way.
ADHD is real.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like all over the place.
They don't even diagnose that anymore, probably, because we all got it.
Yeah. It's more of a norm now that it is a diagnosis. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's so much to distract us. Yeah. And it is hard to just kind of keep it focused. But eventually, I think you kind of get a rhythm if you're watching out for the right things, I think.
Yeah, and I have to say too, like as much as I've made a lot of mistakes, like I also have been very blessed. And what I believe, this is my personal belief that I've been dealing with, is that there's a spiritual war going on for me and my purpose here. And there's been a lot of darkness that has tried to pull me down and consume me. And at certain points, it was probably very, very, very close to where I was about on the brink of never being able to get back. But something I also believe is here to assist me, to bring me to my purpose, and has protected me. And that's just my personal intuition and feeling about how I experience this human existence. Because there's just things that I can't explain that have happened, both dark and light, you know? And so for me, I always try to, like I said, when I'm feeling maybe that negativity from my past, I've really worked on trying to shift that perspective of, dog, that's building you to be the strong leader you're supposed to be. Because all that darkness, all that failure, all that makes you relatable, you know? And it's humbled me too. Yeah. Like if I would have achieved what I wanted early on, I think I'd be a lot more cocky. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm confident, but and I don't think there's nothing wrong with confidence, but cockiness and arrogance is something that I think I had to work through, and definitely had to go through some really hard lessons of understanding that.
Yep. And I mean, with age,
with too,
age comes like that nice sheen, that nice polish or whatever. It's just, you can deal with things a little better, I think, or you quicker. You can react a little quicker because you've already been through a lot. So
more weathered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
My God, here we go. 36.
36. I was saying the other day though, I think 36 is a sexy number.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why 35. I'm not really into 35, but like 36, I'm like, that's a 36 is a sexy age, you know?
Hell yeah.
Well, let's keep on moving into some future projects. Well, actually, let's loop back for 1 second. I want to talk about your EP, City of Arrows.
Yeah.
Released that last year. 2 songs on there, which I think potentially one ties into kind of what we were just talking about. Start Again. What did that song mean to you? And like, seriously, people, if you're listening, go check that song out and his other song, Departure. But Start Again really struck a chord with me. So I wanted to just dig into your thought process on that song and the reason you made it.
The which one? Start Again?
Start Again, yeah.
Oh, man. So writing City of Arrows and working hand in hand with Logan, there was a lot of the writing process that was kind of like therapy. It was kind of cathartic. It was really, really what I needed at the time, because I had just a ball of energy that was, fresh off the trail, basically. 10 months cross country and experiencing nature, really getting in touch with just a different side of me. And I felt this, reset. Yeah, because that's how Start Again happened. It felt like a reset that was happening within me, and like finding Spokane and all this just good positive energy. And I realized that in order to get there, I had to really just kind of crumple everything up and just throw it away, because we got rid of everything that we had and just decided to travel because we wanted to disconnect. We wanted to be departure. That's what it's all about. Like the idea of just taking off with no real point B. It's just you have your departure point, and then that's it. There's something that I've always loved about that, and I'm forever grateful that we got to experience that.
You guys travel in a van, or what did you guys
truck.
have? A truck.
Yeah, we both could work from home, and we've that's been the only reason we can do so much. So that very grateful for. But that's what we kind of did. We just like traveled, worked. If it didn't fit in the truck, it wasn't coming with us. So it was just him, my dog Emma, or our dog Emma. He'll slap me for that. Our dog Emma. Yeah. We traveled all over the place, and just, camping, cabins, all these just, as nature as it gets. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense why we love Spokane too. Because, I mean, within not even 10 minutes, I could find all of that I love doing. So, but yeah, I have a squirrel moment. I forgot where I was going.
We were talking about Start Again and
That's right.
The reason you wrote it. And yeah.
All right. So take two. I'm just kidding. Yeah. After all of that, I'd realized that, throwing away and starting it over was not a bad thing. That's what the main words are, like, start again. And it's all okay. Like, it's all going to be all right. Like, a lot of the times the best things.
Were you talking about starting again, like here in Spokane, like starting to set roots, or like starting your music career again, or what was the start again?
And just life in general, like life in the way that I knew it. I knew that back home in Rhode Island when I was there, I just never felt really like connected. There was like, we had friends and family that we loved to death, but like the area itself just wasn't what I was feeling. And as soon as we started traveling and getting closer and closer to the West Coast, all the West Coast was just like, yeah, I could easily live here. But, Spokane kind of it took the cake. But yeah, like just realizing that all of that needed to be let go of, and then just really setting some roots, finding the right energy that I, gravitate towards. And it was in abundance here in Spokane. And yeah, just starting again and allowing myself to be okay with, moving on.
Yeah. Because something for me that I was pulling from the song, my perspective, was something that I deal with often is like I was saying, I'm 35, professionally maybe I haven't accomplished what I would have hoped by this time, but also giving myself the understanding and grace of like, I didn't know I had to deal with all that I had to deal with, and that's fine, you know what I mean? And so I still have every opportunity to actualize who I want to become, and it's okay to start again.
Yeah.
It's okay to start again on my dreams, from a different stance, with more experience. And that's okay. It's never, like the idea of feeling it's too late to get what you want. I think maybe in certain aspects that can be true, but I think a lot of times it's not true. It's just that we give up. Because it's not working out. And sometimes pursuing a dream is incredibly difficult. It'll break you down.
Oh, yeah.
It'll make you feel every single emotion possible, and ones you didn't even know could get so dark,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man.
Whether
like,
it's depression or different things like that.
That kind of ties into like future projects and stuff for me, because the depths of emotion is... one, it's just a well of, like inspiration, because emotion in itself is just so explosive. It can be the quietest thing ever, like just you feeling those. Do you ever feel those moments where you're just literally blank? Like there's like no fluctuation. It's just like a little blank feeling where you're just like, okay. Like it's almost like Zen. And, that from those quiet moments to like the most explosive, where you're just like either super, super angry or just extremely excited about something, like there's so much in between. And a lot of, what I'm writing in the future is very much so about, the depth of emotion and how it manifests itself in different people.
Yeah. I love that. Because, I just, like I said, I listened to your City of Arrows project, really loved that. And
thanks,
man, once again, check out Start Again, Departure, check out M.I.A. before we move on to these other projects. But Start Again and Departure, and he has some videos on YouTube on his channel you should check out as well for Start Again and Departure. Dude.
Thanks, man.
Just they're a vibe, bro. Like, just like I said, the cadence, and I mean, this boy can sing. He got pipes. It's crazy. Thanks, do yourself a favor, yo. Listen to Helmer here, yo. He's really talented. So we're gonna move on to this future project you got coming up. It's an EP.
Yeah.
Called Yesterdays.
Yep.
right?
Yes, that it is.
And then it says good night in yesterday's, but that's something else.
Yeah, those are the actual songs.
Okay.
Good night
okay.
and yesterday.
I got you. Cool.
Yesterday's. They're so M.I.A. was a standalone, but they all still kind of deal with the same subject of time and the passage of time. And I just wanted to call it Yesterday's because there's a nostalgia there for in the song itself, like what I wrote about. So I'm really excited about that. It kind of continues the idea that, like everywhere that we're going, whether it be, to the next chapter in our lives or the next city, the next adventure, whatever it is, like the people that you have close and the people that you're kind of, I guess, attached to, like they're always going to be there. And even if they're not like in the same space, they're still there with you. And that's what Yesterday's is kind of about. There's a piece like the opening words are through the highs and the lows, no matter where we go, I'll be holding you so tight. And for me, that just, no matter if they're 5,000 miles away or they're like right next to me or like right in the same city, like I still feel that same vibe. And that's what I'm trying to portray in the song.
It's good, man. I could work on that with loved ones that I have in my life that maybe sometimes we aren't connecting all the time, and I'll be like, whatever with them, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
homie don't ever hit me up, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But so I'm working on that, just like always, even through distance. Like some homies I understand it with, some homies I don't,
Yeah.
because I'm like, our brotherhood should be closer, but then ultimately it's like, all right, bro, like, what are you doing to strengthen that brotherhood or to bring good energy towards your relationships and, getting off being so self-focused, So that's good, man. I like that. I like that. I like that aspect of like, no matter where you're at, like I still hold love for you and like imagine your good energy here with me. So
yeah, because I think we need to take that with us
for sure.
I have friends that I don't hear from, or I don't, but it's a two-way street, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, I don't hear from you. I'm saying like, I just, I know that if I were to reach out to you, we'd be cool. Or like, we'd be able to like just kind of pick up where we left off. And, leaving back east, Rhode Island, we left a lot of really good people, like, a lot of people that we love and miss every day. But I know that like, you're just a phone call away or like a text away and be like, hey, what are y'all doing? We're in town. Like it's on, we're on the water somewhere.
That's something that I've started doing is like, if I'm feeling jaded towards a friendship, I just text that person a lot of times now, like, hey brother, how are you?
Yeah.
So I can curb that energy that I'm just creating in my own mind about why a relationship isn't what maybe I think it should be, and just being like, brother, everybody's going through their own thing.
Yeah.
It's like I told somebody the other day, it's like, I really don't know anybody that's not dealing with some heavy shit, basically, like everybody in my circle, my people, they're either like overworked, they got divorces going on, they got whatever going on, like people are, whatever it is, like we're all going through it. And, that's where I have to take that in perspective too, because there's days where I'm really low. I'm not feeling great at all, and it's like I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling towards, maybe I'm projecting, you know what I mean? And so it's like trying to catch yourself in that consciousness of, not holding negative energy in me internally and curbing that with like, all right, I'm going to project good positivity to my homie that I'm thinking about, that I ain't heard from. And I don't know why I ain't heard from him. But maybe he's going through it. Maybe I just need to show him some love. You know what I mean? So
the why doesn't necessarily really matter. It's the actual, that extending of the hand. Like,
exactly.
Hey, what's up? Like, how's it going?
I'm trying, and I've been better at it for sure.
That's good.
Even last night I did it with some homies. So
that also ties into Good Night. That song is really about pressing pause. Like, it's really about saying, hey, right now I think it's best if we just leave it at good night. Like, let's go ahead and stop it right here.
Yeah.
Because if we say any more, and if this continues down this path, like, it'll be something different, instead of good night, it's goodbye, and that's the kind of, I don't know if to call it wordplay or whatever in the song is, it's just, I don't want to say goodbye right now. So let's just say good night and we'll pick this up in the morning or we'll do something different. I don't know. We'll talk about this, but it just can't be right now. And sometimes that's the healthiest thing you can do. I mean, there's more meaning behind the song too, but I'll, kind of get more into that when time comes. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. Like,
yeah. No, that's wisdom, You got to learn to, like, pull back, whether you're the initiator or you're the one being targeted, like setting your boundary or respecting boundaries one way or the other. But
instead of being reactive, just kind of being like, observant, as opposed to reacting to a situation is, I think, the smartest thing anybody can do.
Yeah. Sometimes people want to press buttons, but,
yeah.
If you can learn to be like, no, we're not doing this right now. we can check back in, because you can see where it's going, and that's like pattern recognition. This continues, it's going to end up bad for this relationship. So,
yep, exactly.
And for me too, those are the type of relationships I tried to build with people that have that kind of consciousness, of understanding, like, friendships are never going to be perfect. It's whether you can take ownership and acknowledgement on both sides. Hey, brother, I was wrong here. This is what I was dealing with. This is what, yo, brother, I was wrong here. You know what I mean? Like that, you right. Like, we good. I love you. You know what I mean? As long as both sides can meet on that side, then usually a relationship can go pretty far.
Yeah.
And so,
communication. Like, I shouldn't have to guess what's going on, or if we talk about something, or if there's something on your mind, then just say it. Sure, it might stir the waters a little bit, but if it gets left unsaid, it festers, and then it grows and turns into a whole different thing.
Yeah, I've all hate it or love it, but everybody that knows me, I basically speak my mind. If it's something on my mind, like, wherever it goes. But the thing is you can never take nothing away from me, because I told you straight up what it is.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of held that kind of belief, like, as long as I'm truthful, like, I'm gonna say what's on my mind and what I'm thinking.
Yep.
And you can't take nothing away from me for that. You don't have to accept it, and you don't have to like it, and we don't have to continue a friendship if you don't agree with my standpoint, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's, ultimately the type of people now in my life that I attract into my life. They're all kind of within that kind of mindset of what a relationship should look like. Having open dialogue, and it being, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what, where are you at? Being able to talk through that is important without it getting hyped up. You know what I mean? Can we talk about, like, our little micro differences that we're butting up against, or that might be causing some slight agitation between both of us, and not get upset, and just be like, yo, this is where I'm at. This is where you're at. Yep. And if it does get heightened, like, hey, brother, let's check back on this later.
Exactly. And that's, the whole idea. Because normally, if you're surrounding yourself with the right people, there's always going to be room for that conversation. Like, I try to surround myself with people that aren't going to blow up immediately, or are open to reasoning, with other views. So
totally,
we all don't have to like it, but we have to respect that people have their own views.
Agree to disagree.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's where that comes from. Like, I've always been under the belief, like, you don't have to take my beliefs. You don't have to believe my beliefs. But understand, I don't have to believe yours either. And if we can understand that about each other, then we probably can get along.
Yeah.
I've always said, like, one of the biggest problems that I see in society that causes mass division is people think they know an ultimate truth and other people need to adhere to that truth because they believe that truth.
Yeah.
You know, like I think there's maybe some baseline truths we can all agree upon, like don't hurt people, don't hurt children, like that kind of stuff. But beyond that, you know, there's a lot of things that we try to project on the others, you know, whether that's through religion, which I'm sure you had to deal with a lot growing up.
Yeah.
You know, I did too. I was forced to go to church, and that caused me a lot of problems in my life. Probably still does, you know. What do they call it? Church trauma or something? That I heard there's some term for it now, like cracked me
I know
up.
exactly what you're talking about, because
Like,
some of my friends and I, we just
religious trauma or something.
Yeah, we joke about it quite frequently just because it helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I get it.
For sure. Yeah. Well, so these new songs you have coming out for the EP Yesterdays, titled Good Night, and another song is titled Yesterdays. What do these songs mean for the future?
So the songs were meant to be M.I.A. included, I guess, now, because again, songs just kind of happen, and when they happen and I feel it, you know, I let it out. I'm just like, yeah, put it on. I want it to be out there in the world. Same things with these. They're kind of meant to close off the era, I guess you can say, of like City of Arrows, and the just idea of where I was when these songs were written. So M.I.A. excluded because it's brand new. We just wrote that one. But City of Arrows and Yesterday's Goodnight, they were all kind of written in the same bubble, in the same feel. And Yesterday's is kind of like that little, you know, glimmer of hope, if you will. It's like a little bit brighter of a song, more instruments and stuff. And Good Night is just the period on the entire story that is City of Arrows, Yesterday's, and Good Night. And then all that means for the future is just, you know, that there's future music coming out. I'm embracing an entire album at some point next year. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but I'm finally really happy to say that, you know, it's something that's definitely in the works.
Are you an independent artist?
Yeah.
So you'll have 2 EP releases building up to your album release.
Yeah.
Right? That's all that you've released thus far.
Pretty much, yeah. I have City of Arrows, M.I.A., the standalone, and then now my newest EP that'll come out, which is Yesterday's.
Cool. How long have you known you wanted to be like an actual musician or pursue a musician career, artist career, songwriter?
So I had given up on it when we left. Like I was just like
Rhode Island.
Yeah, when we left, I had already kind of I guess felt that I wasn't, you know, going to pursue singing as like a serious thing. And then when we got to Spokane, that all changed. Like just within a month, I was like, this could be a thing. Like I could, you know, allow my voice to go where it wants to go. And, you know, I guess it was always like a goal of mine or like a dream to be like a singer or whatever, but it's definitely changed over time. Like before, it was very much so like, oh yeah, I want to be the biggest person in the US, or like I want to be on the charts or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, now at this point, being 36 and like realizing where I am, I'm like, I want to make a impact more where I live, more where I'm, you know, setting my roots down, and then worry about the rest later. You know, if we go on tour, we go on tour. If we, you know, end up having a song just go off the charts or whatever, then fantastic. Like that's all the cherries on the top. But really, I want to make an impact here, like in Spokane locally, one as an artist, but also as someone who wants to see physical change happen within the community. So, you know, if I'm doing both, then I'm happy.
Yeah, that's cool. I have a similar perspective with the podcast. I just want to talk to people.
Yeah.
I just want to sit down uninterrupted. I've said this many times on the podcast, and get to know people. Like being able to have this conversation is probably something me and you would probably never have the chance to do otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not, but chances are highly diminished if I don't do this. You know what I mean? This is like very intentional. And it allows me to get to know people I've even known for a long time way better than I had known them previous to a podcast, you know. So for me, like, this is already a win to me, being able to sit down and talk with you. Now, putting it out there, and if it goes big, or like, you know, the podcast ends up growing and notoriety around Spokane, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
That's, of course, like, yeah, that's what I hope happens. But for me, it's more about creating connection with people in my community. And this is my way of doing it. I don't like networking events. I'm not big on that. This is my way of doing a networking event. It's just me and you. You know what I mean?
I love that.
This is the event between two people, instead of trying to, you know, bounce around and sell yourself. It's like, yo, let's just sit down, be real, have a real conversation, talk about what you're doing out here. And wherever it goes from there, like, that's where it goes, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So
I appreciate the platform, because, you know, artists need to be able to get their stuff out there, and, you know, the greater, you know, the reach or what have you, more lives could be changed. And that's something that, you know, further in the future is going to be a major focus, where, like, I want to see tangible, you know, changes in people's lives. And it all comes with the subject that the album is going to be about. So, but again, that's further out in the future.
Yeah, we'll keep that a mystery for now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've dealt with that perspective too, of like why I want success, you know. And when I was younger, for sure, it looked like, yeah, I want to be that guy. I want to be the best. I want to, just be famous, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
Those ideas of grandeur. And it's not that those have gone away. It's just that I think of them in a completely different context of what I thought of them before. And like how it's shifted for me is that I just want to be able to have like full experiences in my life, and to be able to move about freely in ways that I see fit. But I'm honestly gotten to the place of like, fame is that's not important to me, because that's an empty pursuit.
Yeah.
And that's a desperate pursuit, honestly. Like, if you're that person that is always needing attention, I feel like you lose authenticity in some aspect. But at the same time, we have to understand that what we do needs attention to breathe. You know what I mean? Like, if nobody's listening to your music, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
exactly.
We have to take in the idea that we do it for attention, but not being attached to the idea of needing attention.
Yeah, I think one really important thing that I focus on is, first off, if I'm not making music for myself, I don't know if it's going to be good for anybody else. Like, I have to want to enjoy my music as well, where I go back and I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what I meant to do. Or that's the feeling that I wanted, or whatever. Like, if I can't feel that in my own music, I might be doing the wrong thing. So like, I tend to think of it as like, you know, if I'm enjoying my music, then it should be out there, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I think of that with my clothing too. Is it something I want to wear? And like when I design for city chapters, I'm like, I want it to be an aesthetic that can be versatile. So different people from different walks of life can incorporate it into representing their city, you know, and feeling good and fly and wearing something high quality to do so. But then there's also designs that I'm like, that is totally me. Like this beastin' for the city flag behind me, like that's my style. That's like my aggressive nature. You know, beastin' for the city is this mentality of like, let's go get it.
Yeah.
Let's actualize everything people in Spokane have always talked about. And that's the idea that we all are thriving in our art, thriving in our pursuits, not just a few sprinkled people out here that have seen some success. You know, like we shouldn't have just Alan Stone being a major musician. We should have multiple other people that are truly thriving on international stages like he does. You know, because I've seen the talent. You know, like you have that voice that could transcend internationally. There's no doubt about it, man. Like, and you've only been at it for a couple years now, like in a true professional pursuit. I definitely could see your songs going. Like, they have it, man. Like, I seen that on your Tiny Desk submission, right? Like, one of the videos had like 22,000 views, which to me, that's success, bro. 22,000 views is a lot of views.
Yeah, that was just a vibe. There was so much energy behind that. I mean, we hadn't written, I think I think I was missing like 3 songs or something like that to make like a set long enough to actually perform at Tiny Desk. So like the fire was lit. It was like, all right, we got to finish this so that we can actually have enough to perform live in front of all these people. And it was my first performance, like as an actual artist and stuff. So, God, that was wild. It was a wild time. But, you know, I feel like the momentum hasn't stopped. And I'm excited because now I'm producing my own stuff too. Like I'm starting to really mess with my own vocals and like I'm working with textures I've never ever considered before. So it's fun. It's just
textures.
Growth. Yeah.
That's where my layman terms in music was missing. Like the texture that you build in your songs, man. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, they're all intentional.
Yeah, and I mean, I can tell that. Like, there's no doubt. You just will take you on a journey, man.
With City of Arrows, I got to work with TS too.
Yeah.
Man, that was absolute pleasure.
Yeah, shout out TS, man.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the man. Love TS. He's been a good brother, good friend, and he's inspiring too, what he does with his music. So
I swear, every time I see the guy perform live, I'm just like, that's here. That's here in Spokane.
Dang, I would love to see you guys do something together. I feel like there's like his thing he did with Needs and John Ward and
talking about fire.
Like that singer essence with I could see it, man. That'd be cool.
How your friends were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always like I want to go back and work with him at some point. I'm pretty sure that'll happen. That has to be in the cards. Yeah, it
would be awesome. And so you have a business with your partner called the Mountaintop Mentality.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. So we just finished celebrating our first year anniversary. We were at Riverfront Park. And that was our first festival that we'd ever been to. And a year now has gone by and we've grown on just all of our product. We do apparel and candles and support local artists as well. We'll kind of have like a little section for our artists and sell their stuff and make sure that their products are being seen. And there's a lot of good art here in Spokane, and we wanted to definitely have a little highlight on it. But we'll do like vendor events, like farmers markets, any kind of festivals that come around town. We'll join in and just sell our product. We have a vision of helping out the community in some fashion, and I think what we've done this first year has been a good stepping stone for what's to come.
Cool, man. I will be looking out for Mountaintop Mentality at some of the markets, and
we're also online, mountaintopmentality.com.
There you go.
And on Instagram, we got pretty lucky with the name. So it wasn't taken at all. So we were like, all the handles, all the emails and stuff were pretty easy to come.
Sweet. So at Mountaintop Mentality, everything.
Yep.
And yours is at Helmer Noel.
Yeah, Helmer Noel Official.
Yeah, which we'll have those links in the show notes. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Anything else you want to share before we go?
I don't think so, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Once again, check out M.I.A. Loop back to his EP, City of Arrows. Like I said, the songs I liked were Start Again and Departure. They were all good, but those two stood out to me. And be also looking out for his new EP, Yesterdays, and his future album, which I'm excited about. This is City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. This chapter was with Helmer Noel. And shout out Spokane for sponsoring and producing my show. Till next time.